What's that in the sky? It's a bird. It's a plane. Wait, no, it's actually a trio of planes that look suspiciously like Kryptonian war criminals. Yeah, I bet you didn't see that one coming. Superman 2 was always intended to be a direct follow-up to the original classic, to the point where the two films were being shot back to back. However, Richard Donner was constantly at odds with the studio during production. Unfortunately, in spite of the first movie's success, it eventually resulted in Donner being fired from the director's chair and Richard Lester being brought in to finish the remaining 25% of the scenes and then reshoot several scenes already covered by Donner. Several of the actors, including Gene Hackman and Marlon Brando, did not participate in the reshoots, with many feeling Donner had been treated unfairly, which, let's face it, he was. In 2006, however, the same year that Superman Returns was released to theaters, a new version of the film was released called Superman 2: The Richard Donner Cut, which restored about 83% of the original footage to the film, with Lester's footage only serving to fill in the scenes that Donner couldn't film due to his firing. While I acknowledge the good quality of the theatrical cut, for the sake of the best viewing experience possible, I'll be reviewing and subsequently recommending the Richard Donner cut, as I feel that that is the superior version of the film. With all of the technical controversy out of the way, let's get into the story. The film begins with a quick recap of the first movie's events, with special emphasis placed on the scene involving Jor-El's banishment of General Zod and his cronies, Ursa and Nan, to the Phantom Zone. Prior to this, Zod had attempted a coup in a grab for power, as he firmly believes in his own superiority and dominance over lesser life forms. After being unexpectedly freed from imprisonment near Earth, the three Kryptonians are imbued with the same powers and might as Superman. Meanwhile, the Man of Steel hits a snag when love interest/journalist Lois Lane deduces his secret identity as Clark Kent. But the glasses were working so well. How could she possibly have seen through an elaborate disguise? Seeing the potential for great happiness, Kal-El asks the spectral vision of his father Jor-El to take away his powers, thus freeing him from the responsibility and enabling him to have a normal life with Lois. Unfortunately, Lex Luthor breaks out of prison and eventually teams up with Zod, who easily takes over the planet without Superman to oppose him. The performances on Showcase here are just as good as last time, with a noticeable confidence and comfort on the part of the returning actors. Christopher Reeve remains the perfect choice for Superman, and he's allowed to go a little deeper this time around with the new material. Here he presents an understandable desire for contentment in not having to worry about everyone else on the planet. We're able to identify with the character here because we, as people, often worry about ourselves first and foremost, in spite of the best intentions we may have for others. It makes for a very tragic arc when Clark learns just how valuable a birthright his abilities were. And honestly, it makes it all the more meaningful when he decides to resume his obligation as Superman. All of this is conveyed beautifully by Reeve, whose performance makes the character equally appealing and powerful. Margot Kidder is also great here. She's another one who gets more advanced material in this film. Finding out that the godlike being she admired is really this unassuming journalist is obviously something she takes pride in, but being able to communicate with him on a more personal level gives Kidder something more tangible to play off of. It shows in her performance, proving that she is more than capable of handling a less professional side of Lois. However, one of the best aspects of this film is Terrence Stamp as General Zod, who is much more menacing than Luthor. Although he occasionally ventures into the realm of loud and hammy, he always keeps it reined in with a unique brand of quiet authority. He truly is a remarkable villain, as he literally brings the entire world to its knees. Gene Hackman still makes the most of his scenes, but he isn't given quite as much to do here. For the most part, he's just trying to weasel his way onto whichever side he thinks is going to win. While I can sympathize with this, and Hackman is still entertaining in his charismatic silliness, wow, two words I never thought I'd use together, the script sadly undermines the intelligence that the character is supposed to have. On the other hand, Marlon Brando retains just as much gravitas as before, portraying both the loving and objective sides to Jor-El. The scene where Kal-El is forced to admit his failure and say goodbye to his father is just beautiful. Not only does Reeve do a fantastic job of portraying his character at his lowest and most heartbroken point, but Brando's distinct fatherly grace completes the moment and makes it all the more emotionally impactful. That is not to say anything against the supporting actors like Jackie Cooper, E.G. Marshall, and Sarah Douglas, but the increased emphasis on Superman's personal dilemmas gives them less to work with. The music, while technically not done by John Williams, remains as fitting and iconic as ever. In addition, the action scenes, specifically the fight in Metropolis, feel appropriately large in scope and impactful. What diminishes said impact is the fact that the effects are kind of dated by today's standards. Also, the ending once again comes down to turning back time. It's just as ridiculous as in the first film, but what makes it even worse is the lack of setup this time around. To Donner's credit, though, it's at least consistent with his predecessor in its stupidity. It doesn't introduce the memory-erasing kiss seen in the theatrical cut. Overall, Superman 2, while not quite as fresh or as strong as the previous movie, continues the story and advances its characters in compelling ways. The acting is solid, the script is well written, the story is well paced, the music is excellent, and the direction, especially in the Donner cut, is sure-handed and confident. It's a great follow-up to a great movie about a great hero.